Canada is run by a guy in Trudeau who refused to acknowledge the word mankind because it was offensive. He said you had to use the word peoplekind. 2SLGBTQ1+. Does anybody know what that means? No, nobody does this in the real world. Everyone's a racist. Everyone's a transphobe. No, actually, this stuff is completely insane. I've got an 11-year-old girl myself. If this happened at her school and I found out that she'd been identifying as a boy, I would identify as a homicidal maniac.
Love him or hate him, Piers Morgan has made a career out of saying what others won't. But what really drives people crazy? Is he the bold truth teller we need to champion our battles against cancel culture? Once branded as toxic, Piers Morgan has flipped the script, becoming the loudest voice in defending free speech and taking on woke culture head on. But is this fight more than just media spectacle? Let's dive into the controversies he's ignited.
You think it is right?
How do you identify?
I'm a man. That's right. So,
and gender? What are you?
I'm a cisgendered man.
What does cis mean?
So that means if you were born a woman, and therefore you still identify as a woman, so you're a cisgendered woman, I would say.
And that's because of my physical...
That's because
femaleness.
You identify with how you were born
what am
originally. I? Well, I assume you're a cisgendered
I'm not
man,
a cis anything, mate.
If I may assume.
I'm not a cis anything.
Well,
I'm just a man.
Well, no, but you're a cisgendered man.
No, I'm not a cisgendered anything.
But hang on.
What does cis mean?
Well, that means that you were born the way that you identify now.
No, I'm just born a man.
But someone who transitions.
Why are you insisting on calling me something I'm not?
Well, you can refer to yourself as just a man if you like, but...
I think most people identify as male or female, man or woman.
That's right. The vast majority of people. But that doesn't mean that there aren't other people who identify differently.
There are 100 different genders on this BBC list, apparently, right? One of them is two-spirit person, polygender, pangender.
Sure, he ruffles feathers. Some even call him the Trump of British TV. But is he really addressing the issues no one else dares to touch? Or is there something more strategic behind his headline-grabbing moments? You'll want to stick around to find out. Tired of hearing only one side of the story? On this channel, we're here to challenge the narrative. Subscribe now and be part of the movement pushing back against censorship and the fight for free expression. If you're truly fed up with the woke agenda and its dangers, then don't just watch, join the conversation.
They tried to cancel me. They tried to shut me up. And they failed. In a world gone woke, I'm not afraid of calling out people who deserve it and praising those who've earned it. I'm going to cancel culture to annoy all the right people and to have a little fun. I'm Piers Morgan, uncensored. America loves a comeback. So here I am, baby.
Piers Morgan Uncensored, streaming weeknights only on Fox Nation.
You can't cancel me.
And speaking of anti-woke platforms like ours, Piers Morgan's journey into Talk TV has been a significant chapter in his career, and his ambitions have shifted in interesting ways since joining the platform. After his controversial departure from Good Morning Britain, Piers had a variety of job offers. However, what intrigued him most was the deal he made with Rupert Murdoch. This opportunity allowed him to engage with multiple platforms, including Talk TV, Fox News in the US, as well as writing for The Sun and The New York Post. It even extended to Australia, giving him a broad reach across different countries.
No, I believe in freedom of speech. I believe in the right to be allowed to have an opinion. If people want to believe Meghan Markle, that's entirely their right. I don't believe almost anything that comes out of her mouth. And I think the damage she's done to the British monarchy and to the Queen at a time when Prince Philip was lying in hospital is enormous and frankly contemptible. So if I have to fall on my sword for expressing an honestly held opinion about Meghan Markle and that diatribe of bilge that she came out with in that interview, so be it.
One crucial aspect of Piers Morgan's recent career is his advocacy for free speech, something he says he has always championed. He believes that the way he was treated at Good Morning Britain illustrates how cancel culture has spiraled out of control. In his view, many people who are quick to cancel others are self-righteous and hypocritical, often pushing narratives that don't align with reality. When the Meghan Markle controversy erupted, Piers was the only one on the show willing to voice disbelief in some of the claims she and Prince Harry made during their interview with Oprah Winfrey. While others were ready to accept their stories about racism and mental health struggles, Piers expressed doubt. For this, he was asked to apologize. Instead of complying, he chose to leave the show, standing by his opinion.
And we're joined by the soft-spoken Piers Morgan in the UK. Piers, wasn't Meghan terrific last night with Oprah?
Your words, not mine, Mr. Bush. I thought she was unbelievably disingenuous, and I also think that she's fired off a rocket here at the royal family and the monarchy and the Queen, which once fired is very hard to take back and is going to cause a lot of damage.
She made a racist allegation. Harry backed it up. Somebody in the family said something about the, skin color of Archie and their concern over it. What happens in the British press now? Do they leave that alone, or do they go digging to find out who that was? Everybody wants to know who.
Well, we should be told who it is. Harry and Meghan have made an unbelievably serious allegation against a senior member of the royal family, which is incredibly damaging to the royal family and to the monarchy.
Piers believes he's been vindicated over time, especially since neither the allegations of racism nor the claims of suicidal ideation made it into Prince Harry's book, suggesting that those stories have quietly faded away. Yet, Piers argues that even if he wasn't proven right, he should have been allowed to question the narrative. In a free society, he says, people should be able to express their disbelief, especially when serious accusations are being made against institutions like the royal family. For him, the situation was particularly upsetting because it occurred during Prince Philip's declining health, making the timing of the Oprah interview feel especially inappropriate.
She's entitled to cut you off if she wants to. Has she said anything about you since she cut you off? I don't think she has, but yet you continue to trash her.
Okay, I'm done with this.
No.
Sorry, no. Sorry.
Do you know what? That's pathetic.
You can trash me, mate, but not my
No.
See you later.
I'm being...
Sorry, can't do
This
this.
is absolutely diabolical behaviour. I'm sorry, but Piers spouts off on a regular basis, and we all have to sit there and listen. 6:30 to 7 o'clock yesterday was incredibly hard to watch.
Piers Morgan's decision to leave Good Morning Britain reflects his deep commitment to standing up for what he believes is right, even when faced with the threat of cancellation. He rejected the ultimatum to apologise or step down, choosing the latter because, as he puts it, he wasn't going to apologise for his views. For Piers, there's a larger battle to be fought against what he sees as the dangerous rise of cancel culture, where differing opinions are often silenced. His story serves as a reminder of the importance of free speech, even in an era where it can come with serious professional risks.
If you'd like to be a woman, you can identify as a woman. I don't know why there is such an issue.
Anyone can, right?
I don't see a problem with it.
Just literally put the hand up and say I'm a woman. Okay, why can't I identify as a black lesbian?
Well, firstly, I mean, it was...
I'm serious. If I can identify as anything without any need to prove I'm actually what that is, why can't I, on International Women's Day, say I'm Piers Morgan, I'm a black lesbian?
I think taking it to a kind of absurd status,
I think
we're
that's
talking about quite a
with
strong
respect, I think
physical
that
change.
you'd already opened the absurdity door by saying it is limitless. You can do what you like. Anyone can say I'm a woman. How many genders are there?
2.
There are 2 genders.
Oh.
Wow. So you don't believe in transgenders at all?
Well, I think there are...
Whoa, hang on. Whoa. There are 2 genders?
Well, it's taught in...
Well, you say, well, you've literally just launched this huge defence of transgenderism. Now you've eradicated it.
In today's ever-evolving media landscape, few figures command as much attention and controversy as Piers Morgan. Known for his unapologetic views, Morgan has carved out a unique space in the public sphere, particularly in the realm of free speech and the ongoing culture wars. In a recent interview, he opened up about his views on cancel culture, the role of corporations, and the ever-contentious woke movement, offering a perspective that reflects both personal experience and broader cultural observation.
To issue an urgent trigger warning. For all ultra-sensitive, permanently offended woke snowflakes who may have accidentally tuned in tonight, you're not going to enjoy this show. In fact, it's going to really annoy you. It may even provoke trauma, because I'm going to be constantly celebrating the one thing you can't abide, free speech. And that's real free speech, not your kind of free speech, where only your opinions are allowed and anyone with a different opinion has to be shamed, abused and cancelled, their careers and reputations destroyed. No, the free speech is supposed to be the bedrock of any real democratic society, the kind where it's okay to disagree. It's all right to respect and tolerate each other's views. It's even okay to go for a beer with someone.
Morgan has especially always positioned himself as an advocate for free speech, a role that has only strengthened in recent years. He argues that the growing trend of cancelling individuals for their views, especially when those views challenge the prevailing cultural dogmas, threatens the very foundation of democratic discourse. For him, the Meghan Markle episode was just one chapter in the broader battle against what he sees as the excesses of woke culture.
Must be wishing they'd stuck to selling beer, the drink of choice for millions of sports-loving working-class Americans, teamed up with trans influencer Dylan Mulvaney, who was a man till last year and now spends most of her time mocking women. America's favourite beer company decided that she would be the perfect person to sell their beer and absolutely tanked their business because most of their consumers went, "What are you doing?" Well, that debacle has cost them $27 billion so far. The same thing you might remember happened to Gillette. We suddenly told all its male customers, including myself, that we were a bunch of Harvey Weinsteins until we could prove otherwise. They took an $8 billion write-down in value.
When asked if he sees any signs of change, Morgan is cautiously optimistic. He believes the tide may be turning as more people become weary of the rigid constraints imposed by this mindset. He points to the corporate world as a key battleground in the culture war, highlighting the infamous Gillette campaign that backfired after alienating its core audience. Companies, Morgan argues, are too often swayed by vocal minorities on platforms like Twitter, which only represent a fraction of the population. He warns that if businesses continue to base their policies on the loudest voices online, they risk alienating the majority of their customers in the real world. Morgan further observes that celebrities who continue to align themselves with woke causes are increasingly being met with public ridicule, as evidenced by satirical portrayals in shows like South Park. Morgan has even gone as far as labeling Meghan Markle and Prince Harry as the king and queen of woke. He believes their public actions, such as preaching environmental responsibility while traveling on private jets, expose the hypocrisy often associated with celebrity activism in general. Their falling popularity, especially in the US, proof that people are growing tired of performative virtue signaling.
Welcome back. Sam Smith is back again with more attention-seeking vulgarity. They're never one to do things quietly in recent years. We have to remember call him they, their, them, even though there's only one of them. Remember the latex balloon at the Brits? But they've taken things up a notch, haven't they, with a new global tour criticised as hypersexualised and satanic. And apologise if you're easily offended for what you're about to see.
However, while Morgan sees the beginning of the end for woke culture, he acknowledges that certain sectors, like education, still have a long way to go. Just like Up the Furries phenomenon, where students identify as animals, Piers sees this as an example of how far identity politics has strayed from its original intentions. Morgan believes that the tolerance of such behavior is driven by fear of standing up to a movement that prioritizes self-identification over biological reality.
You literally are destroying the Olympics for anyone who's not a man.
Well, that's a very grandiose vision of it, but
not really. Not really. If you look at the times and the results of men Olympians against women Olympians, you will see that in almost, I think, 98% of all the events, men are so far ahead of women on speed, on power, and every other discipline. Women would never
separated by categorization.
Women would never win a medal again at the Olympics if you had your way. Is that what you want?
That's very sexist.
No, it's
do you know that the
it's a
first
physical.
woman
Hang on,
to-
it's not sexist.
Do you know the first woman that
hang on, James,
swam
I'll
the
come
channel?
to you. I'll come to you. It is not sexist. It is a fact. It's why we separate the sexes.
For Morgan, the most egregious example of woke overreach lies in women's sports. He expresses frustration with figures like Megan Rapinoe, who advocate for allowing trans women to compete in female sports. Morgan worries that this trend could undermine the integrity of women's athletics, particularly if biological males start dominating female competitions. He cites the backlash against tennis legend Martina Navratilova, who faced criticism for speaking out against the inclusion of trans women in female sports as a sign that the debate has become disconnected from reality. To Morgan, protecting the integrity of women's sports should not be sacrificed on the altar of political correctness.
Not really, no.
So this is what I wanted to say is your antidote for this new wokeism is to lead and to create a counter-narrative, which is what you're doing with your new show, Piers Morgan Uncensored. It's what you did with your book as well. Are you optimistic deeply that will win?
Well, let me ask you a question. So I'm described as highly controversial, right? I've been called all sorts of names. People say that what I say, things I say are outrageous. Mm-hmm. When you read my book, how many times did you stop and think, well, that's outrageous?
No, I didn't really disagree with anything.
Right. So that's my point. I don't think I'm the controversial one.
Well,
I think I come at this from a reasonably common sense
in your book,
perspective.
I didn't disagree with you at all. Because you were talking about things like popularism and liberalism and how it's changed. I completely agree. I think I used to identify as being on the left. Now I don't, because because
they're nuts, a lot of them.
Yeah, a lot of it is absolutely nuts. I also don't really identify with being on the right either, because they're nuts
I agree.
as well.
I agree.
So I find myself in this
You get
middle
nuts
point.
on both sides, and we're moving to the extremities.
But I'll get cancelled from both sides because I don't wear the football kit.
And despite all the array of media opportunities, Piers doesn't miss his time working on traditional UK terrestrial television. In fact, he feels like he's already experienced enough in that space, especially from his work in America. He humorously recalls a time when Colin Firth called him to dismiss rumours that he was upset about possibly playing Piers in a movie adaptation of his book The Insider. Firth was actually open to the idea and said it might even be a fun role. This exchange taught Piers an important lesson: never say never to anything. But still, when it comes to UK terrestrial television, he's happy where he is. The growing success of his show is proof of that, with their YouTube channel amassing 2 million subscribers, outpacing Good Morning Britain's million.
I think you've got to stand up for yourself. You know, I remember the great Winston Churchill line, which is, you've got enemies, good. It means that at some stage in your life, you stood up for yourself. And I had a choice. I could have apologized for disbelieving Meghan Markle and kept my job. But if I had done, I would have kicked myself all day, every day, ever since. Because as her tissue of untruths began to be unraveled by the world's media after the Oprah interview, it was quite clear that I was right. The idea that a media company would bow to the Twitter mob who were baying for my blood and say, look, you either cave and issue a groveling apology or you have to leave, I thought was ridiculous. So I took the option of leaving, and I've been so pleased about that ever since that I was true to myself. You've got to back yourself. You know, it's no point expecting other people to back you or support you if you don't do it to yourself. And I think we live in an era where I think people need to have a bit more of a backbone.
Morgan's war on woke is far from over, but are we starting to see the tide turn? Stay with us for more unfiltered takes on the biggest conversations around free speech and common sense. Together, we'll keep exposing the absurdities of this cultural moment. For now, Morgan continues to speak out against what he sees as the absurdities of the current cultural climate, and we can only hope that more like-minded people will join him in pushing back against the forces that seek to stifle free expression.